everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking about histology, which is the study of tissues. So why do we need to really learn about tissues? Think biopsy. If you've ever heard of the word biopsy, we usually take biopsy if we're suspicious of cancer, and based on the increase cancer cases in the past couple of years, we're going back to histology and really learning about tissues. So what are tissues? If you remember, in the previous videos I talked about a collection of cells make up tissues, and a bunch of tissues make up an organ. And in the human body, we have 4 types of tissues. All right, they fall, every single tissue you have in your human body will fall under these 4 categories: the epithelial tissue, also known as the epithelium, the connective tissue, the muscle tissue, and the neural or the nerve tissue. So this is just going to be an overview of all the tissues. I'm going to go into a bit more detail, make another video of this, and go into a little bit more detail discussing each tissue type. So the first one is going to be epithelial tissue, also known as epithelium. They are a sheet of cells. They are found on body surfaces. You find them in cavities, body cavities or spaces, and they can also serve as protective barrier. And they have special characteristics, and one of them is that they are avascular. They do not have blood vessels. So I'm going to be talking about that a little bit more in detail, like how are they alive. We're going to find out that, for example, epithelial tissue covers your skin. Most of your skin is actually dead skin cells, but we'll talk about that later. They're also innervated, meaning they have nerves. So if something pokes your skin, for example, you're going to feel it. And they also have a great capacity to regenerate. They have a regeneration capacity. We're going to see that this is not seen in other tissue types. And the other thing is there are classes of epithelia. Epithelia is a plural form of epithelium. We base it on their shape and their layers. So there are 3 main ones. Obviously, there are also other ones which talk about briefly in the epithelial tissue topic later on. But the 3 main shapes are going to be squamous, cuboidal, and columnar. The squamous, like you see here, this is more scale-like structure, and the cuboidal like cubes, all right, cube-shaped, and the columnar, they look like tall columns, all right. And then we also base it on their layers. Do they have 1 layers, or do they have multiple? So usually when they have 1 layer, we use the term simple. And when they have more than 1, 2, or 20, we use the word stratified. And then, there are also others that we have, like pseudo-stratified, that I'm going to be talking about later on. So the next tissue is connective tissue. So this is the one that I feel like we dump everything that doesn't fit into the other 3. We just dump it here. So as a result of that, they're the most abundant, the most diverse tissue types. Their function include binding tissues together. So we're going to see, for example, bones and ligaments, and the support and strengthen tissue. We're going to find them on our skin. We're going to find them like as fillers, and to protect and insulate, like adipose tissue, for example. So the ones we're going to be talking about here will be cartilage, bone, blood, adipose or fat tissue, areolar or loose connective tissue, dense, regular, or irregular connective tissue. So you can see that this is very diverse. So if you are being shown a picture of a bone, you're not just going to say connective tissue. Well, what kind of connective tissue is it? Is it bone? Is it blood? Bone and blood are completely different. Blood and fat are completely different. So in this category, you have to be a bit more specific. The third type of tissue, and they're not in any particular order, is the muscle tissue. So muscle tissue, we have 3 types here. We're going to find smooth muscle tissue. These are usually involuntary. We find them on organs or on stuff that you cannot control. And the second one is going to be skeletal muscle tissue. These are voluntary. They're voluntary, and which means that you can control them. And skeletal, we are going to find these muscle tissues on bones, and they're the ones that are going to generate heat. If you remember the topic of homeostasis, and they generate heat through shivering. I'm going to be talking about this when I have the muscle video up. The cardiac muscle tissue, this is the third category under the muscle tissue. These are involuntary. There's nothing you can really do to control your heart beating. We can obviously exercise and increase the rate, but it's involuntary, and there's only one place to find this. This is in the heart. So when you're studying the muscle tissue, one of the things is, you can always do a process of elimination. Am I finding this muscle tissue on the bone? If not, is it on an organ? No, then it must be in the heart. And the last type of tissue is going to be the nerve tissue or the neural tissue. So this is kind of what it looks like. Again, I have a whole nother topic where I'm going to talk about nerve tissue, where we're going to go into, neurons and so on. This is where we're going to find neurons, which are nerve cells. And the job of the nerve tissue is to detect changes in the human body, and also respond to that by generating impulses, which are, we could say that's a signal, all right, a signal, or, an actual potential. And where do we find nerve tissue? You're going to find it in the brain, in the spinal cord, and obviously in the nerves. So this is an overview of histology, of all the tissues we have in the human body. Like I said, I'm going to be making more videos where I will be talking about each of these tissues in depth. All right, thank you.